So the general idea I had for making these videos was to do something a little bit differently in each of the videos and change it up where I was filming and sort of just do things a little bit differently every now and then. So this time I'm filming this out in my lounge room with a bit better lighting, I think, so hopefully it will be a better video. I went to see Annabelle Comes Home today at Village Cinemas in Jam Factory. The film has been out for a little while. When I say a little while, like a week or so. It was okay. I think, to be completely honest, my enjoyment of the film was limited by the audience that I had, which is disappointing. I don't like the fact that occasionally an audience can reduce how you feel about a film. I think it can honestly also have the opposite effect a lot of the time, to be honest, as well. This year I've had audiences like I had for Avengers Endgame, which really increased the how I felt about the film. But I think that when you go see a horror film, you expect people to be, you know, screaming, yelling, talking every now and then, but people were talking every scene, in between scary bits, not in between scary bits, kind of the whole film people were talking, and I think that kind of definitely had an influence on how I felt about on how I felt about the film, I guess. So with all of that not considered, I think I'll go into kind of the aspects of the film I really liked. McKenna Grace was fantastic. I think she is great in any role that she kind of is in. She was in, you know, Designated Survivor, Haunting on Hill House. I think this is her second film in the Conjuring series. Correct me if I'm wrong. And I definitely think that she did a great job in this film. She didn't get to do a whole lot, I think. I've definitely seen her do a lot more. For example, in Designated Survivor, she definitely got to do a lot more from a range perspective, but I definitely think she did a good job. I think that she kind of knows very well how to be in tune with her emotions as an actress, and I think that she definitely did a good job in this film from that perspective. To be completely fair, beyond McKenna, everyone was really great in this film. There were no weak links from a performance perspective. I felt like everyone had a lot of fun. I felt like it was made well. I felt like the direction was quite good. I felt like the acting was all quite good. The acting could be a little bit melodramatic at times, but I think that is because it's a horror film, which isn't a bad thing. I think that some melodrama in horror films is probably a good thing, because it is such a like, the expectation is that you remove yourself so much from reality, and you have such a standard of suspension of disbelief that a bit of melodrama helps with that, I think. And I think without the melodrama, you wouldn't be able to remove that you wouldn't be able to put that disbelief in as much. And I think you definitely need that, especially in something like the Conjuring series, which is so built in our reality, but is still quite sensationalized and not really exactly what the true story might have been. Beyond that, and I do want to stress that I did enjoy the film. I do feel like the Conjuring films are starting to become a little bit not great, because I do feel like with all of these prequels that we're having, the stakes are so low. Watching this film, I didn't ever feel like, yeah, there were jump scares, and yeah, the music picked up a little bit, and there were definitely crescendos and moments where your heart definitely picked up, and you started to stress a little bit more for the characters and all of that. But I definitely also think that for the most part, I was not worried about the characters. The story was very one note, and for the most part, I think that I kind of had expectations that the film wouldn't be anything that really broke the mold that the Conjuring films have developed, and I was right. I think that while it was a good film, it definitely met expectations in a negative way. I expected it to not mean a whole lot. I expected it to kind of be an additional story that we didn't need, and that we kind of, for the most part, already had, and that was definitely what the film ended up being. So from that perspective, like, it wasn't a bad film, but I definitely felt like it was an unnecessary film. I felt like stakes were low, and yeah, sure, performances were great, and direction was actually quite good for a horror movie that is outside of James Wan's mainline Conjuring series. So it was definitely a decent film, and it wasn't a waste of my time or my money. But it's not going to rewrite the rule books or cause anyone to have an uproar or get anyone really excited for the next Conjuring movie, which I think is probably where this film's biggest failing is, because we're getting to the point where there's so many of these movies coming out, and if there's no real audience interest or no real development of audience interest across all the films, then the franchise is eventually going to die quite quickly. And while Conjuring 3 will probably do fine, especially on the back of the box office that this film is making, I think any films beyond that will start to feel a bit of a lag in the box office. So that was my review of Annabelle Comes Home. I probably have a lot more to say about it, but I think that I would probably need to watch it again, maybe in the comfort of my own apartment, because I don't want to be around people talking the whole movie, and that definitely just detracted from my overall enjoyment, I think. Coming up in the next couple of weeks, obviously we've got The Lion King, which I will talk about every video until I talk about it, and probably every video thereafter, because that movie looks phenomenal. And then on the horror side of things, Midsommar's coming out very soon, which I will be watching. I think it's already come out in the US, potentially. I'll be watching Crawl as well. It Chapter 2 will be coming out, so there's a lot of really cool horror movies coming out that I will be reviewing and talking about. So yeah, thanks for watching. Enjoy.